Thank you.
All set? Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the November 15th Board of Education meeting of the Winchester Board of Ed. I'd like to welcome all of our visitors. Thank you for being here tonight. And we'll begin the meeting, as usual, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we please do the roll, beginning with you, Cheryl?
Cheryl McGlynn,
Jeanette Broder,
Sandra Strubar,
Melanie Brady Shanley,
Doug Fenninger.
Nora Mukarski,
Renee Waldron.
Tara Sunday.
Tori Lavetri.
And we have one absence. Have you heard back from Chris?
I have not.
Okay. Do we have anything we'd like to add to the agenda? That one item you talked about?
I have 2 items to add to the agenda tonight, if you would please consider. One is under presentations for Veterans Day acknowledgement.
Okay. Sure. Is there a motion to that?
I'll make the motion.
A second.
And then the second, oh, you have to vote, sorry.
All in favor? Okay, unanimous.
The second is a letter of retirement under correspondence to the board that was received yesterday.
Okay. I move to accept that. Add that. All in favor? Okay.
And Chris Peterson is planning on attending. He
Good.
just texted me.
Okay, regarding under comments from the chair, I will address the first change. I'd like to recognize Sal for his service to the country as a Marine on Veterans Day. Thank you all very much. We're very grateful for your service. And I have no other comments. I'd like to keep those short because it's going to be raining and freezing, and I know we all want to get home before that happens. So we can move on to the exciting part of the meeting, which is the Kid Governor program.
All right. So we have 3 wonderfully talented young ladies that are joining us tonight. I'm going to invite Ms. Silverio up to the stand to say a few words about our Kid Governor program that we participate on a yearly basis.
Good evening, board members. I am so proud to have these 3 students who are representing Pearson School. The process that they went through is last month, the entire 5th grade worked with our library media specialist, Carly Hennigan, to learn about taking on a stance and this political platform through the Kid Governor. And every student had an opportunity to think about a platform, something that they care deeply about and want to take a stance on. The 5th grade, in its entirety, all of the student body voted for 3 finalists, and these 3 young ladies ended up being finalists. Then the entire school had access to their video platform presentations, and they voted for a finalist. The finalist will then be in the running for the Kid Governor of the state. However, that Kid Governor has already been selected. So we are so proud of the work that they did to prepare. You will be highly impressed with their presentations and the depth of thought that they gave to each and every one of their platforms. So I'm going to introduce them to come on up and share their platform with you, and then you'll have an opportunity if you have any questions for our 3 finalists. So first, we'll start with Isabella Baraga.
Good evening, board members. My name is Isabella, and this is my speech for the Kid Governor. In the state of Connecticut, there are many different people with different origins and cultures, but racism is still a problem. Even though we do not talk about it as much as in the past, it is still a big issue in our society. If you watch the news or read the newspaper, you would notice that cases of racism are pretty often on the headlines. Our generation should do something about it, just like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks did in their times. Doing stuff like getting more people to know about this issue in our community, or join me. Let's fix this problem and resolve this issue once and for all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everyone who helped me. And thank you for this opportunity.
Wow.
She didn't need notes.
They're all pretty super awesome.
Hello, my name is Emma Dean, and I wanted to be kid governor because I wanted to change the world. I wanted to, by saving animals. My plan was to raise money to help animal shelters so they won't kill as many animals. 2, I want to have more people spay and neuter their animals. And the last thing I wanted to do was teach people to love and respect animals. Did you know that 281 animals in Connecticut got killed by the shelters in 2021? My cat, Evan, got put in a shelter, and we picked him up and said, "That's the one." Now he has a happy home with me, my mom, and my dad, and I am an animal lover. I want to thank my mom, my dad, Miss Hennigan, and everybody else who supported me. Thank you.
The young lady that our school voted for as our Pearson School Kid Governor is Angela Devino.
Good evening, board members. My name is Angela Devino, and I'm running for kid governor to prevent bullying in our community. I'm doing bullying because it is not good for all of us. Here are some ways I will work hard to fix it. First, I will provide a safe way for kids to report bullying. Second, I will create a program to teach kids ways to express their feelings in a healthy way. And last, I will provide a club to talk about ways to prevent bullying from bullying. I would like to thank Ms. Hennigan for supporting me and Ms. Silverman. I would also like to thank Willow Gallo and William Dean for helping me with my videos. Thank you for your time.
Would any board members like to chat with the girls and ask any questions?
I'd love to just make a comment. I heard all about this and about each one of the platforms when my daughter got home from school. So I think you guys did a really good job communicating what your platforms were and why they were important to you. During your opportunity at school, because I learned about each and every one of them, and they all kind of hold a special place in my heart. I think you did a wonderful job. It's really hard to stand up. I'm having a hard time speaking in front of people right now, so I think you guys did a really good job. Sharing why this was important to you and giving some anecdotes or why it's personal to you. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That's great.
Any other board members? Okay. Well, ladies, I want to tell you that you did a beautiful job tonight speaking. You're very, very eloquent in how you speak in public, and that's a skill that is not only going to help you right now while you're in school, but certainly a skill that will help you as you move into college and get a career later on in your life. So you are definitely miles ahead of even some of us as adults. So you are doing a fantastic job. Keep up the work. And we look forward to continuing you ladies advocating for your areas of interest. So thank you. So ladies, if you want to come up, you can shake each one of the board members' hands. Walk right around. No, we're going to go this way. We're going this. Hold on, back it up. We're going around this way.
There's too many wires.
There you go.
Come this way, so you don't trip.
Oh, thanks again.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Good job. Good research. Good job. Good research.
Good job, and I know you can talk well. When she was in second and third grade, she used to drive around Oak Street with her little body hanging out the car window every single morning to me. I say champagne! Every single morning. She would yell my name the whole way around the parking lot. So, feel free to stay for the board meeting. I know it's super exciting, but otherwise, you are absolutely able to go. We won't take any offense, I promise.
Just so you know, you were the highlight of the meeting, so
Yeah.
it only goes downhill from here. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board this evening under public comment? Anybody who'd like to make a comment? Going 3 times, no public comment? If not, we will move on to the consent agenda items. We have 2 sets of minutes, one from the board meeting of October 11th and a second set from the committee meetings for October 25th. Is there a motion to approve those items?
I'd just like to add something on page 7. Under Columbus Day discussion, Tori mentioned that October 10, the school menu noticed that Indigenous and Columbus Day was in there. We talked about holidays in the calendar. My response to that was that Columbus Day is not called Columbus Day, it's just called a holiday. I just wanted to, if we can include that in the record, that October 10th for Winchester is just holiday.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes with that amendment?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, from Jeanette, is there a second to that?
I'll second.
All in
I just
fa-
need one more, sorry.
Uh-oh.
I knew it was buried in here. Page 12.
I think that's the committee minutes, though, right? That's
Yeah, it's
correct.
committee
Okay.
minutes. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you're doing them both at the same time. Usually they are. Page 12, one of the very last items, it just says 1, so I think it's J1. I don't think it's notarized language, or is it noted language, or?
It is notarized.
It is notarized? Okay, thank you.
So no change?
No change, thank you.
Are we doing committee minutes?
Sure.
I didn't, on page 11. Embarrassing. So, it's right in the center. I had, made a motion, or I had, made the first. And I'm not on the policy committee, I'm an invitee, but I guess this one just gets snuck through, because I think we were talking about it on that day. So,
So you're an invitee
I was, yes,
on policy. Okay, you're listed as invitee.
yes.
So under the opioid antagonist, yeah, we didn't catch that you.
But we addressed it that night, I remember. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, and I kind of backed off of it.
Right, so I don't know
When
who was
yeah.
then, so I don't know who, does anyone recall who was actually the movers?
It was unanimous, so I don't, yeah, I know it still matters, but.
Do we think it has an issue? You have an issue with that? When we strike her name and say,
I think it's easier just to put her on the committee.
I'm happy to join the committee.
all right, so it's on the committee.
I know my
She
name
was
is
already
spelled
on the
incorrectly,
committee,
so I
alright.
don't know if that means.
You guys have me going in circles with this.
All right, I would say that's probably not an issue since
Just
it was
wanted to-
unanimous, but thank you for bringing it to
Okay.
our attention. So with that one change, can I have a vote to approve the consent agenda?
And Tara, did you just formally ask to be on the policy committee? All right. Just,
That's what I
I
heard.
would love to be on the minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes with the,
Okay, I think
amendments.
Jeanette already did that, so.
Okay, I thought you
we're-
just said for a minute.
I probably
You
did, but
just was messing us
I
with.
digress, okay. So we had a first from Jeanette and a second from
Cheryl.
Cheryl. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was way too complicated.
Unanimous.
All right, Gilbert report. I unfortunately missed yesterday evening's meeting. I do have some notes from the previous meeting, but Renee, do you have anything from yesterday that you'd like to bring up at this point?
Well, we did have a presentation by someone who came in and did an SRO presentation. Mark Wallerius, who I guess had worked with Greg in the past as an SRO, so this resource officer in the school. So he gave us a lot of information about that, and I know that that's still something that Gilbert keeps on the agenda every month is the resource officer thing. And I'm just trying to look and see if there's anything else. I think that's about it. I mean, everything else was just, you know, kind of typical stuff.
Renee, when you guys are there together, you know, on our old minutes on page 9, under new business, the SRO, we had a series of questions that we had on our end. Are you guys, when you talk and meet about the SRO with Gilbert, going through those questions and asking Gilbert about those questions? For example, would there be a joint hiring process? Would there be community input?
I think that I don't think it's really has been decided on how they're gonna do it. I actually, and after last night's meeting, I'm almost thinking that, they're possibly looking at more of like having the SRO like within Gilbert. I mean, they're still, you know, talking about other possibilities, and it's, you know, nothing's really been hammered out. So they're still in the talking phases about that. But, you know, obviously the 7 through 12, they kind of see more like of a need as far as having someone there.
Do you still,
Nora, I, at the request of the board last time, had put a survey to Holly, Greg, and Doug regarding kind of what their thoughts are so that we can get some community input on this. I have not heard back from, Doug and I reviewed it and went over it together, but I have not heard anything back. I've sent it twice now to Holly and Greg.
Was it not brought up at the meeting yesterday, that there was that survey brought to them?
I believe they mentioned a survey, but they didn't say anything about it. I don't think they've done anything with a survey yet. I believe they're still talking to the police chief and,
Town manager, probably.
town manager about it.
I just had a conversation with Candy because we were both at the Gilbert Building and Grounds meeting a little while ago. And she commented that, I guess she was at the presentation also, that the possibility of an SRO, one possibility is that that person be a member of the local police department, hired by them, and then that person would be at the school. But what complicates that is Gilbert is not a public school. So it becomes an issue of whether the town wants to support somebody who is working for a company that is essentially our vendor, and whether that ethically, legally, whatever, if that's going to work going forward. So that's just one roadblock, but I think Mel's survey that we can do to get input from the public. Mel and I have talked about this, and she has ideas that I think would be a lot more economical than some of the others that we've been looking at, and we can talk about that in the near future. I believe we're on the Board of Selectmen agenda for November 21st to have this discussion. So finding out if they will support it, because we're talking about potentially a lot of money, is going to be a first step. And if there's not support, we might have to backtrack a little bit and see if that's something if it's really important to us, how much we want to work to support that effort. But I think it's something that deserves some discussion at our board level too. But we need to get a little more input first.
Yeah.
we were looking for behavioral data from Gilbert, research from, if any, from other districts. Have we gotten any behavioral
Actually,
data?
CAPS, the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents, literally today they did a survey on SROs throughout the state and what each district has. So I do have that survey, which I can put out, and it is not a confidential survey in that it has the specific name of the school, it has the specific number, so it's pretty clear on what they have versus what they wanted or don't have.
And we had talked about that, right? That we were gonna get a town. I mean, a
Yep,
statewide-
so I have that available to us at this point.
Right.
So that's a list of which towns do and don't?
A list of school districts, not
Yes.
towns, yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
districts that do and don't. And
That participated in the survey. There might not be some towns that chose not to participate because it wasn't a confidential survey.
So was the survey a question about if you would or if you did?
If you do, and then it was a description of how many, high school level, elementary level, like that type of stuff. So like for a lot of the questions, I had to put NA or 0 because it didn't apply to me.
Did it encompass how many years they had been involved in that program?
I don't believe that was a question.
Because that's some really important information. You know, a district that's been doing it for 20 years versus a district that just in the last 2 years. How many in the last 2 years? Like what's, you know, what's the growth pattern with that? Is it becoming, you know, more or less? Or
I would say
even-
absolutely more
Probably
prevalent, 100% more.
But I mean, are we talking 1 or 2 districts a year, or are we talking expanding double? And, you know, like that would be really,
I would,
that
off my
historical
cuff,
information
I
would
would bet that it's a significant increase on a year-to-year basis, just from what I've been seeing and hearing.
So you're right, that would be good data.
Yeah.
Not to go off subject, but do you know if there's any grants available for anything like that to have in the schools, like for
So I know that,
SROs?
I think the catalyst behind some of the questions, especially the SRO survey, is in preparation for the legislator. I think they're trying to push some of this through the legislator to be able to potentially get some funding. I think we're in the very early stages of that, but if I were to take my best guess, that's why this survey information is going out.
Okay.
I
Okay,
think on page 9, when we talked last from our minutes from October 25th, I think when we talked about behavioral data from Gilbert, I think our intent was to take a look at the numbers of referrals inside the building, just to see if there's a case to warrant an SRO. Has there been discussions about that, getting that data? Okay.
I haven't received any of the data, and I'm trying to remember the conversations that we've had about it, because again, it's a topic that's on our agenda every single month. You know, I know that Greg's pretty open with sharing any information with us, so I think we could get that information.
Mel, could you request that information? Would that be possible?
I can
Follow up
request
with-
it on behalf of the board. And I did send an email to Greg and Holly following our following this meeting, saying, you know, this is some of the information I think, as we had talked about, and Doug was there, that I shared that information that the board was requesting.
And you haven't got a response to that email either?
Not at this point. We have met and discussed, but not a response.
So we should come up with a list of questions so that we have them and then the answers and then the next
I
time
can
we
put a
meet.
Google Doc together for tomorrow, and if the board would like to submit questions on the Google Doc, that way I can share that Google Doc back.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that's
You
good.
know, the presentation was really great, and, you know, I just want to say that, I mean, I think that the biggest, most important part is if we do decide to, you know, go with this, or Gilbert decides to go with it, is picking the right person for the job that's gonna, you know, really develop those, you know, relationships and do that kind of
Well,
stuff.
with an
within the school.
SRO, you don't get to pick the person.
Oh, you know,
No, we only have one person right now in the police department that's a viable entity for it. Because there's about 2 years of training that goes into an SRO
It is amazing.
before they're able to serve as an SRO.
Yeah, I heard there was a lot of training involved.
Yeah.
And maybe I was thinking it was like,
No, because
a process that happens in the bigger districts that have more.
Well, if you go with an ARO, which is the Armed Resource Officer, that is when you can interview and you can select for your best fit.
That was also discussed last night, about possibly going that route instead.
Which is a lot more economical than, for the same service essentially, than an SRO.
Yeah.
I would just like to express how we need to communicate, and Gilbert needs to communicate with us with this joint venture. If it is to be a joint venture, we need a lot more information from Gilbert. And I know that's still ongoing, but I would hope that at some point, we have some sort of cooperative or collaborative meeting with them, face-to-face, rather than you guys acting as our proxy. Because I think while you have conversations, other questions are gonna come up. I do think it's a great idea for a shared Google Doc to start, but I think that there needs to be some sort of joint conversation live with both entities.
I would agree with you, Nora, and I'd also just add in that initially when this topic was introduced, the idea was that there was going to be one SRO that served all the schools. And so we own a piece of that too, if that's the direction we choose to go in.
Right.
Melanie has discussed other possibilities of having people on an hourly basis, ASOs would be.
AROs, yes.
So there's not only the external piece of it with Gilbert, but there's the internal piece within our district, whether that's something that's important enough to fund or discuss here. But I absolutely agree that we should have that discussion together.
But I also think we need to think about the community input around this. If I watch what's happened in other school districts, this can be a controversial discussion because you have people that sit on both sides of the fence in terms of believing in, you know, that type of a presence in a school building versus not. And then you also have just the fundamental side of, you know, the operational side, which is the financial component. And then there's an equity issue. If you only hire one and you're split between three, like what happens if something happens at school A, but they're at school B? So like, there's a lot of issues that could potentially come out of this, and I think we are way too early in the process right now to be making any rash decisions in preparation for budget time right now. That makes me worried about moving too quickly on a topic like this.
Well, and didn't we talk about, I mean, this isn't something that's going to be happening for this school year, correct?
No.
Right, so we have this school year, not saying that we just drag our feet, but to do the document, let's ask our questions. Let's come together, Nora, I agree, we should come together and have a discussion. We need input from the parents so that we can suss how they're feeling about this whole thing. And let's make a time frame so that we know what the steps are going forward.
Keeping in mind that Melanie has to put together a budget
Budget.
by next spring. So.
Yeah.
Right, so,
I mean,
in these coming months.
page 9, our notes, one of the things we said is that it's not expected that it would be in the budget for 23-24, because if we look on our page 32, I mean, we're starting our own budget process, and it's almost December, so,
I think Gilbert might have a different opinion on that.
yeah.
I'm just going out on a limb, don't quote me on that, but I believe they might have a different opinion on that.
Well, this has been kicked down the can for, what, almost 2 years now? We've been having this conversation. I mean, and yeah, there's differing opinions in guns versus not carrying, you know, split between the schools. But I know that our position had been that we didn't feel they were appropriate for our levels, our grades, and that we weren't interested. But Gilbert was interested, and that was when I was on the Gilbert board. So I can see, looking at notes, that there was a whole conversation that happened at the last meeting that I missed, so I'm sure I'm behind in that, in not knowing what the conversation was last time. But it sounds like there's been a shift where now there's an interest in having them in pre-K to 6?
Having them what?
Having an ASO or SRO.
Oh, definitely. At their end, at the Gilbert.
No,
Gilbert.
she
Oh,
said
here.
K to 6. I think it was just
They,
brought up
they
because
considered
it's,
splitting one up, like, so they considered splitting one up between the three schools.
Who's they?
Gilbert. They wanted to share costs because, you know, obviously it
How are
is
they sharing
expensive.
costs? We're already paying for it.
Yeah, well,
it's the reality.
so this is what I'm just saying that this is what they were, you know,
So
possibly
their logic is we're
considering.
going to give them an additional sum in addition to what we've already paid for. So we're gonna double pay for that? SRO? Is that where we're going for it?
I don't think we were talking about the money. I think we were just talking about how it was gonna look as far as, you know, where the structure, yeah, where that person would be and, is it?
SRO was in their budget for last year, but they didn't.
Yes, that's
They changed their
correct.
mind after
True.
they got the
Yes.
budget. They didn't give that money back.
I mentioned that at last night's meeting, actually. So,
Okay, so it sounds to me like we're still in the input stage, but
Yeah.
nobody feels any sense of urgency to act on this, but we do need more information.
Yes, and we should have a structure. That would be.
Okay.
Not only would I like to see the parents of the kids, you know their position, but the whole town, actually, I think. Because there could be parents that are people looking to have kids that have an opinion about it as well.
On the Google form that I had submitted to Doug, Holly, and Greg, it did have, you know, are you a TGS parent? Are you a Winchester Public School parent? Or are you a community member? So, you know, my thought is that it would go out to the general community in addition to our, and staff, obviously, yeah.
I think it would be really helpful to know if fiscally feasible before offering too many options as well to the community?
Well, you know what, you really have to go with the idea first. If it's something that's wanted, then we look in the budget. If it's something that is not wanted, why are we looking at the budget first?
I think that's one of the reasons that it's on the agenda for the selectmen, because if there's support at that level, then we'd be more likely to pursue it. But if they say, no, that's not something we can support, then that kind of kills it.
But I still think we need data to make determination whether it's something we need.
Right.
Even if, in all respect to the parents and stuff, but if it's not something we need, just because the parents may say, well, but I want it, that doesn't necessarily make it the responsible choice.
But I think it's a good idea, and I hear what you're saying, to include parents in this conversation, so,
Absolutely.
right, so that they feel like they're being heard.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, and then we'll make the decision from there.
I did ask the presenter last night how many elementary schools in Connecticut had an SRO, and he did say that he knew of a couple, and he gave me a couple of names of towns that had one. They're bigger towns.
Or affluent
And-
towns that could afford it, or maybe
yeah.
towns with
So,
a history.
but he said it's
school
not
done
a
in their
commonplace
school,
thing to
probably.
have, resource officers in elementary schools. It's more, obviously, at the 7th through 12th grade level, there's, a more of a need.
That's why, once we get all this data,
Yeah.
then we can really start making more informed
Okay.
opinions and comments about it.
Any other comments? Move on. Thank you all. Correspondence, we have an honorable mention.
Yes, so we have an honorable mention from CABE for their communication awards. So we received that for our Facebook page, so that was a nice thing to be able to receive. Listed in there, you can also see the other districts that received awards through CABE.
Yep.
For our Veterans Day, we had a wonderful Veterans Day ceremony at Pearson School and at Hinsdale School. They celebrated on Monday because we had a little bit of a rain issue on Friday because Hinsdale has to do their ceremony outside because we don't have a space big enough to accommodate all of the people in that building. So they moved their ceremony to Monday, but it was wonderfully received at both school buildings. They always do such a beautiful job representing our veterans. So Sal, you would have been very, very proud of them.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Just a shout out to the music teacher, because I happened to catch that song that the Pearson children sang, and it was beautiful. So that was very nice to.
Yeah, if you check out our Facebook page, I did put the whole song that the students at Pearson School sang to the veterans on that day. We also posted a picture of all the veterans together, and one of our kiddos made it actually into the paper this past weekend on Sunday. Jenny did for her speech that she did on Friday at Pearson. So I want to also add that correspondence that we did receive a letter of retirement yesterday for a paraprofessional, Christine Rogers, for November 28th is her retirement date. Accepting a letter of resignation will be for Catherine Stansfield. She's going to Region 14 as an interventionist. Mary Beth Seeger has resigned from the district with no notice to the district either, to take a job at a different school district. So I'd just like to accept, please.
I'd like to make a motion to accept with regret.
All in favor? Thank you.
Who second? I did, Cheryl. Oh, Cheryl did, okay, sorry.
Okay, superintendent's report, please.
Yes, so we've been busy. We have participated in a training from the Department of Children and Families on minimal facts training. So making sure that we don't ask too many questions when students are making reports to us and asking the appropriate questions. Students have attended field trip experiences aligned with their science units at White Memorial and Peoples State Forest. TGS and WPS members continue to work on finalizing our Portrait of a Learner work for grades 1 to 4, 5 to 8, and 9 to 12. And I know we had a lot of discussion kind of initially about this, and the work that we're doing is so valuable. It's so in-depth. And I think it's going to turn out a really, really nice product that both organizations can be very, very proud of. So we look forward to that continued work in the future.
When do you think you'll have it?
I would say probably by early part of January, everything should be pretty finalized and neatened up. We have a really strong draft right now that just needs some tweaking. And then we had agreed that we would be coming together to put a rollout plan together and a pilot for the springtime, and then roll it out in full for the fall.
Okay, thank you.
So we held a ski club meeting for parents, and at this time we have filled all 25 ski club spots, so we're very excited about that. Administrators continue to complete formal and informal observations, along with a few finalization of student learning objectives. We've conducted paraprofessional interviews and have successfully hired some individuals, which is nice. Both schools celebrated Halloween by allowing students to wear their costumes, have classroom activities at Pearson, and they also watched movies. I will say Barb and I got a petition from our students. They let their voices be heard. So the 3rd to 6th graders, we received a petition a couple days before Halloween. I think it was maybe like Wednesday-ish, that showed up in the main office. And it was a petition because the students were upset that they were too big, if you will, to wear their costumes to school. So they wrote a very convincing petition explaining their discontent that they could not wear their costumes to school. So in the honor of the children and their showing of their democracy and their spirit around that, we honored their petition, and they were able to wear their costumes to school on Friday. So they were very, very happy about that. But they did it very appropriately, so we had to honor that. We had the Winsted Fire Department conduct fire and safety prevention training for all the grades throughout the district, and they did a wonderful job coming out and supporting our kiddos. 5th grade students participated in the Kid Governor program. We also participated in Veterans Day ceremonies. Students decorated the buildings with patriotic pictures and window art for Election Day and Veterans Day. I'm assuming everybody here was in Pearson and you got to see how beautiful the windows look and the artwork going down the hallways. So the children did a really, really nice job. Under operations, I met with the CT Green Bank along with Nancy to further our investigation into solar projects for Hinsdale and Pearson schools. So we're kind of at the beginning stages of understanding more about that process. Both schools completed their school safety drills for the month of October. We hosted Election Day at Pearson School. Our administrators participated in school security tabletop training with our local law enforcement, Department of Emergency Management, and other local school districts. We are currently, right now, we're past the investigation stage, on working with janitorial software right now to track building tasks and cleaning efficiencies. Nancy and I had a really, really productive meeting today with this company, and we're beginning to build the platform that will help us to be able to make sure that our buildings are clean and sanitized at all times to our expectations. Under leadership, I've participated in several CAPS meetings, bi-weekly meetings with the Department of Public Health, the RESC Alliance training for the required training around the legislative around minority teacher recruitment. We're all required in the state to participate in that and be able to put a plan together. Attend the virtual Shipman and Goodwin training on labor law I did. Participated in the school security roundtable training, and then also participated in the TGS WPS monthly chair and superintendent meeting.
What was the result of the doodle poll for the Shipman and Goodwin training for this board?
22nd.
22nd?
Yes. Yeah. I will send out a calendar invite for that tomorrow.
We also pulled off a really successful talent show too, right?
Oh my goodness, yes, thank you so much for saying that. We had about 25 students, I think off the top of my head, that participated in the Pearson Talent Contest. If you've never seen a talent show, it is a very exciting place to be on a Friday evening. We have everything from children that have never ever stepped foot on stage before and tried to sing their little hearts out, to students who just you'd think they'd be on The Voice or America's Got Talent. Like, just the talent is extraordinary. I think Barb and I were just talking about this today, and our favorite parts of it always are, no matter what level of talent you're displaying, whether you're beginning or just have enough courage to be able to get up on that stage, everybody in that audience and every single kid that is there absolutely is so supportive of one another. Like, you never hear any snickering or like making fun if someone's like struggling. We had a couple music mishaps where like it skipped and what have you. So just absolutely warm-hearted with how the kids support each other and how the parents support all children. So it was really, really nice.
It was such a nice turnout. You did such a nice job. The room was full. I thought there was not like a empty seat, so it was really nice. I think you guys did such a nice job.
Such a great job. They worked really hard. I was waiting for Miss Silverio, though, to get up and sing. She's a really, really good singer.
And I also wanted to point out, sorry, I don't mean to be so talkative tonight, but you had some teachers that showed up, and I think that was so nice as well, and it was noticed by some of the students who, like, you know, my daughter in particular, but some other ones had said, like, how nice it is that some of these teachers, you know, I don't want to say them by name, but I'll tell you afterward that they show up for a lot of these events where they don't have a kid there, they don't have, like, you know, they may not even have a student there, but it's so noticed that, and my daughter had said, it's, you know, so-and-so is so supportive. She shows up at, like, the talent shows, she showed up at, like, I know she named some other things, some other times when she's there, and it's just, it doesn't go unnoticed. I think it's,
I will let her know that
it's really great, so.
It's awesome.
Mrs. McDonald.
Yeah, and I believe Miss Vicari was there also. There were
Yeah,
several,
I think-
yes.
And I didn't note it, but, you know, I just think it's, kids always notice when they see the teachers, like, out of place, you know? Good or bad? No, always good. But, yeah, I just thought that was really nice of her to go.
So for our district-wide enrollment, we are currently at 600 students, which is a strong place for us to be. Our average district attendance for October was 93.6%. We are a little up because we had the flu and the stomach bug during the month of October. Emily and Rosie definitely were dealing with some of that throughout the month. I won't get into detail around those experiences for them. However, we're sitting at a district rate shy of 17%. So I'm hopeful. We've actually looked at our attendance for November. I think we're kind of like maybe settling down a little bit right now, but we also know that December's right around the corner, and they usually have the flu or the stomach bug in that month also. Gilbert's enrollment is at 401. Looks like they went up a student from last month. Their grade to grade breakdown is on the next page. You can see that. We have,
Can I ask before you go into the finance stuff, the enrollment data for WPS?
Yep.
There is -5 in the special ed Gilbert enrollment.
Hold on.
Do we know approximately what the changes were? Were they?
I know one of those was due to a student moving out of district. One of those was due to a placement. And I believe the other two, it's probably, I'm gonna say, exited out of special ed, it sounds like, because it doesn't look like anybody moved during that month, so, yeah. That's always our goal.
Yeah.
When it comes to the appropriated budget, our year-to-date for October 22nd, we're projecting 106,000. That ebbs and flows, as you know, on a month-to-month basis, moment-to-moment basis. Looking at our grant totals, we're holding pretty steady right now. I think we were at $400,000 last time. We are again at $449,000 as a projected carryover amount. Lunch count, kids are eating breakfast and lunch. They're holding steady. Our volume, as we talked about last time, around that grant number, we have a balance right now, a projected of $36,000. However, you know that that's associated with that grant that we've received and talked about last time. So that'll help to offset summer costs, as Nancy explained last month. Last but not least on my list here is budget. So Nancy and I started about a week and a half ago with having discussions around the fiscal year '24 budget. So in here, you can see our calendar that we provide to the board every single year. So that's our starting point, is the calendar. Nancy has run the enrollment numbers and using kind of our algorithm. Yes, Nance, sorry.
So on the schedule, if the board wishes, it would be a good night to set dates for some of these meetings that are spanning, needing to happen during a period of time to keep the process going. I don't know if
You know what, it's sometimes much easier if I do a doodle poll. That way, everybody can put their opinions in. So I will get with you tomorrow and we'll put one together.
You're talking about where it says set date?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll work on that. Under enrollment projections, we've had, for next year, we're looking at the district carrying around 600 students, pre-K to grade 6. We're looking at Gilbert carrying around 409. So that goes basically through the algorithm that we use on a yearly basis based upon matriculation data, looking at who historically just moves up in a grade versus some of our high matriculation areas, which sometimes happen at grade 7. A lot of time happens at grade 9, and then sometimes right at that grade 11 point also we tend to see a shift there too. So using the historic data to guide those projections. So those are the two budget things. I know Doug had asked me to kind of speak about where we're projecting ourselves to be. I can tell you that the days of 0% ended, last year. We don't have a non-lapsing fund that is wealthy at this point to be able to offset increases. There are some increases that we know are going to happen. We're in negotiations, as I've talked to you about, coming up with our paraprofessionals. They are significantly underpaid. So there is going to be an increase. Right now I can't tell you what that increase is projected to be, but it should not be even fathomable to be 0. So I think we're in that position now where we're going to be operating like any other school district in the state of Connecticut, where you can pretty much count on a percentage on a year-to-year basis going forward. We're not getting millions of dollars of funds any longer from the state of Connecticut to offset these increases that we would have historically seen for the past 10 to 12 years. So I think that, this needs to become a normed understanding that, yes, we will be as financially and fiscally as responsible as possible, but understanding that there are just costs that just go up that we have to be accountable for, to be able to stay competitive, and then also to be able to provide a quality educational product.
Melanie, are you still meeting with the town manager on a weekly basis?
Not on a weekly basis, but Josh and I are meeting. Yes.
This
We
whole
will meet,
process?
absolutely. We will absolutely be meeting more frequently around budget, for sure.
Thank you. We have some action items this evening. First one, I think it's just informational for new hires.
Yes, so we have Sharon Roberts, who's actually a Winstead resident. She is coming on to cover some maternity leaves under special education. She's been a fantastic addition to our team and wonderful to work with. We have Taylor Steves, who's been hired as a paraprofessional within the district. We have Aslan Jameson, who's been hired to help out in the CHAMPS after-school program. Addie Mell, who's been hired as a paraprofessional at the Hinsdale School. Those are our new hires.
Thank you.
Okay, you know me. Page 34, 35. The general budget, where's the funding from? 34.
Paraprofessionals, typically, let me just go in here. Paraprofessionals are typically coming out of the appropriated budget.
Okay.
The CHAMPS person will come out of the CHAMPS grant.
And then, okay, so 37 is also general budget, or appropriated budget.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, yep.
Our our school calendar for the coming year. I can't believe we're talking about that already.
I know.
I would like to point out that for this issue, on February 14th, Tuesday, that is Valentine's Day, but that's not the point. The point is that Lincoln's birthday is the day before, so it's a holiday, and will that not conflict with?
Lincoln's
POS?
birthday is on the 12th, because he and I share a birthday.
No, but they're celebrating, the holidays on the 13th, Monday. So the state's
Don't they
closed
lump in the president's?
on the 13th.
Is it President's Day?
No, it's Lincoln's
It is
birthday.
just-
Connecticut celebrates Lincoln's birthday and President's Day separately. And so I don't know if there's a BOS meeting on Monday, which may be bounced to Tuesday. So sometimes we've had to move.
No, because the Board of Selectmen have opposite Tuesdays of us. It might be planning and zoning
That's what it is.
the one that sometimes, so as long as we book the room now.
We always get kicked out. What are you talking about?
We can book ahead of time.
Will we have any issues with quorum?
Well, yeah, we probably will. I mean, I think there would be people, I mean, that's a tough day, you know.
I'm
So I
open
would
to.
suggest changing that date. And I think we should just make sure we're, look at other dates, because we've had a couple times this year where we didn't look ahead as to how the calendar's actually
I did
falling. We
look
had to
ahead
move it.
how this fell on the calendar. Valentine's Day, I'm not a big, but I understand that some are. So we can accommodate any changes.
What's the code for this calendar? The cross-through is what?
Half day.
All right, so the cross-through, you're talking about the February 14th cross-through?
Is
It's a half day.
Following year.
2023.
This is school year, this is
Oh,
board
yeah.
year.
Yeah,
This
so
is-
don't look at those two
No,
calendars. They don't
calendar.
coincide.
This is school calendar. Because I saw that same thing. I'm like, that's a Wednesday, but then it's like, no.
The 2020.
That's a
Yeah.
board year or calendar year.
So
versus
Nora,
school
this
calendar.
has to start, the board calendar restarts itself on the January of every single year.
Okay, I see.
So some of those dates are in this school year.
Roger, okay. Gotcha.
So, I mean, I'm looking at the calendar in February, and moving, the first idea would be to move it to the following Tuesday, but that following Monday is President's Day, which will mean the BOS will be in this room on the 21st Tuesday. So I don't know if anyone has any other suggestions.
Move it to a Wednesday. I don't know if that's, no.
I have no problem with
Any
that.
day but Wednesday.
Any day but Wednesdays.
How about we just move it up a week?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
First week?
Sure.
Is there any,
Or we
would
could do
that, is
Thursday.
there any conflicts
I'll
with that?
check the calendar. I don't,
Yeah, I don't know who.
The 7th?
I mean,
There's
we
no
might not be in
holiday
this
calendar.
room, but
Okay.
it's not the word, I can always put it on Zoom like I've done in the past, and it's still accessible to individuals. Let me just double check the calendar here. So the first, February 20, that would be the 7th then.
Yep.
So I don't have anything on the calendar that would prohibit that.
So February 7th?
Yep.
That's the proposal.
Right.
Any other issues, Shirley? Any
No,
other
I
dates?
don't know, see any other issues.
So, we need to action on that. So what I need now is a motion to approve the amended Board of Education regular meeting schedule with the one change being that we moved the February meeting to the 7th.
I'll make a motion to approve that calendar.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of that? That's unanimous? Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure it didn't affect the budget calendar. Does it affect anything in there? No?
No, we should be able to work around that.
Okay. Because you're already looking in that time frame for a budget workshop.
Yeah, on the second, yes, so.
26th and the 9th, yeah.
That's all stuff that, the budget can be 100% flexible. We can move that around for sure.
Is anybody going to a training for CABE at 1 o'clock?
I am, the upcoming.
Yeah, the webinar or something? Okay, I'm trying to
December-
find,
I think it's December 7th.
is it? I'm trying
Yeah.
to find it in my calendar.
I signed up for
Okay.
it. I think
The
it's
6th, I believe it is.
I think it's, is it the 6th?
Oh, yeah, it is, 12
Legislative
o'clock
day.
in the afternoon on the 6th.
Yep,
Wait,
oh, sorry, yeah.
The board's role in advocacy?
Yep, yes.
All right, how many of y'all are going? 4 of us,
Oh,
5
yeah.
of us, 6, okay. All right, I was just curious.
That's a good number. So we need to look at the school calendar and approve that. That's the one that's printed out in all the colors.
We've changed the format, so hopefully it's easier to follow than what it has been in the past. It's been a little difficult. So half-days are slashed in here. This calendar follows exactly the calendar that we have in place for this school year. Not really any changes. It also mirrors Gilbert. Greg and I met to be able to work together. The only difference between Gilbert and us is the very start of the school year. Gilbert does 3 professional development days at the beginning of the school year with their teachers per their contract. We do 2. However, they also start their students on the 29th as a half day that day. So we start ours on the 30th. But that, other than that, and then that changes their end date versus our end date. Those are the only 2 tweaks to the calendar that are not perfectly matched.
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, the calendar is approved.
Okay, we're slowing it up. Okay, do you have enough development days?
Yes. Follows the contract.
Okay.
You good?
Yep, thank you.
Internet 2, CAP Distance Learning Scholarship Program Grant we need to take a look at.
Yeah, so Rachel is after more money for interesting things, which is exactly what we want, you know. This is innovative. It's a way for us to be able to get great programming into the school while also not having it impact our budget. So, like, we encourage our staff to go after these grants, absolutely. So Rachel's applying to CEN, which is the Connecticut Education Network, and she's asking for $800. And basically, this is going to be able to provide free distance learning program for one of our grade levels. This particular one is where this program will select from a list of available centers. They listed some of the opportunities here, which would be like Lee Richardson Zoo in Kansas or the Cleveland Natural History Museum. So places that are well-renowned that our children don't have access to because they're not close to us. So they would be able to do virtual field trips through this particular opportunity. So I'm asking for the support for Rachel to be able to apply for this grant.
Yes, she is very enthusiastic.
Make a motion to support it.
We have a motion from Nora, second from Jeanette. All in favor?
Unanimous.
And the next one.
It's the acceptance of the grant. So last month, we had put a grant application in front of you in the amount of $1,500 for us to be able to put our drone program together for our talented and gifted students at the Pearson School. And we have received and were awarded that grant in the amount of $1,500. So I'm asking for the board to please approve that grant approval.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second from Nora. All in favor? Thank you.
I'd also just want to pitch in really fast that apparently this is like a really great program. I think we're really lucky to have it. Sorry, I have the comments tonight, but we were just talking about this. I think it's called like the Blackout Program or something like that for the drones. I don't have a child involved in it, but apparently it's
Like the new
envy of
thing.
all the-
Yeah, it's kind of like the new version of Lego robotics. Like, you know how they did robotics with Lego, and they still do, but like this is kind of like the next level now.
Coding and like,
Yes.
you know, having to land the drone just by using the codes and not control. I just think it's really neat, so thank you.
Super smarty pants, math and science involved, so.
Really cool.
Can I ask you a question about
Yeah.
that? Is if this is just open to the talented and gifted, the tags, are there ever like a student perhaps that has been identified as excelling in this who perhaps is not part of the tag program?
We
That
actually.
teachers would tap and say, you know what, this would be really good for.
So
so-and-so.
not through the day program, because you have to be identified through special education for talented and gifted identification, and we have special programming that we do. However, we do have, like through CHAMPS, there's different programs in that we offer, like we offer the cooking, like there's different activities that they can join in to be able to participate in.
To recognize the talent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
And we have a lot of students who are actually identified as special education. autism, ADHD, that are really, really high flyers, but maybe don't fit that typical tag profile, that are participating in these programs.
Awesome.
So that's absolutely happening. I'd like to invite Emily Bernard, our assistant principal from Hinsdale, to come up to the podium, please. She is asking for the board's support to apply and receive, is kind of where we're at tonight. It's at an application, it's a app and receive moment.
Thank you for the opportunity to share this with you today. So we have an opportunity through the Northwest Community Foundation to, for some funding for the FRC to host an event at Kids Play, Children's Museum of Torrington. So we did apply for, due to a short turnaround, $1,000 grant through the foundation that they would like to award us if approved. So what we would like to do is host an event at Kids Play. We luckily would have really unlimited in terms of numbers of families that we can serve, but we wanted to give families in the community opportunities to come together, to continue to build relationships with staff at Hinsdale, the FRC staff also, and kind of really give kids an opportunity to continue their development, essentially. So the foundation is putting funding out there so that we can encourage families to bring their kids to places like this, and build those relationships with the schools so that they can build on those early learning skills, such as fine motor skills, gross motor skills. The reason we chose Kids Play is because there's also STEM activities built in, there's literacy activities there. So we felt like it was a good place where we can really promote that child development, whether it's with students that we're currently already serving at Hinsdale, or whether it's those infants and toddlers that are going to be coming to us eventually. So as part of this event, we have our FRC staff that would be there, and they would have opportunities to interact with families, promote the FRC, hopefully get some new enrollment in the FRC. We're always trying to boost our enrollment, and then also encourage parents to look into the school readiness programs. So this is something we've also talked about at our school readiness council meetings, is having an opportunity for an advance and Winston area childcare to get themselves out there, particularly with the school readiness program, because there are spaces available. So it'll also give us the opportunity to talk to families and see if anybody would be interested in those spaces, because we want to be able to fill those classes as well, so that when they come to us at Hinsdale, they're more ready to learn. So during this event, we would provide dinner. So we are asking parents to register in advance, and then also have a meal ticket. So we would provide pizza and drinks during the night, and then just an opportunity for families to really kind of enjoy themselves and have fun and interact and come together as a community.
Building community.
The date, looks like you have to do it pretty soon. You're going
Yes,
to be doing it.
so the whole grant has to be used by December 15th. So it was a very short turnaround of the grant. So we did book a date with Kids Play temporarily, with approval, for December 5th. So it's a Monday night, which in conversations that we've had, in the past, I guess Monday's been a day that parents have, I guess, asked for certain events. So we kind of went with that. And, we're hopeful that we'll have a really good turnout. It'll be free to anybody who attends. We just ask that they register in advance. And,
That'll be fun. Kids play at night. That'll be
yes,
fun.
it'll be a 4:30 to 7:30 event. So families can come at any time during those hours. And we just ask for the meal ticket just because the room size is limited where they can eat. So that anybody can come anytime between 4:30 and 7:30. And we're gearing it more towards that ages 1 to 10, just because that's what the activities there are meant for.
I'd love I know you do homeschooling, but I'd love to be able to put this opportunity out for some of our homeschooling families to help with the socialization sometimes that may be difficult for some families to be able to access throughout the week. Do we have any local homeschool networks or anything?
On Facebook, yeah, there's Northwest Connecticut, there's Like Minded, there's a bunch.
Okay.
Usually in the past, I've been told to go through the library. parent of
Oh,
the
that's a good
library.
idea, too.
She
Yeah.
is pretty connected.
Okay,
So when I've tried to do PTO or other organizations to try to include homeschoolers.
that's great.
And
We
Liz.
can reach out to Ms. Parent.
We can reach out. She's
Send Mrs.
joining us
Yeah.
tomorrow for our
She's
school
great.
readiness meeting, so we can talk
she's-
to her about that.
She's wonderful, we
Yeah,
love
she's
her,
great.
yeah.
So
Perfect.
we can give her also a flyer that she can also post in the library as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're welcome to have any homeschool families, anybody in the community, and socialization was also a big piece of this because, as we know, a lot of kids after COVID came to us with very little social skills, social emotional skills. So that's something that we also want to encourage through this event.
Are there any transportation options available?
We don't have transportation options available, or at least I should say we didn't look into that much. I know transportation in general is kind of difficult to get, especially in a short turnaround. And then also with the really little ones, to be on buses is tricky.
I would say just reach out and
Just
carpool
due to their ages, but, yeah,
if they have a challenge to get to Torrington.
yeah.
Yeah, I know, my kids were little, we were in FRC, and we did FRC events, and they would offer transportation. So, it would be good if there was something for those who really need it.
Okay, yeah, that's something I think that we can look into. I know it's a short term now, between now and then, but I think, especially going forward into other events that we may have, whether it's through funding we receive from, other places, or FRC funding, so thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you, Emily.
That's fun.
Thank you.
That's great, thank you.
Let's
I
see a
think,
motion.
I'll-
Yes, we need a motion to approve that.
We'll make a motion to approve?
A second?
Lots of seconds.
I know. That's fine, I'll take
All-
myself, I'll
everybody
just
in
vote.
favor?
I'll just vote
Aye.
yes.
Okay.
Unanimous.
I don't know who the second
I think it-
Pick one.
Doesn't matter.
Who was the first?
Nora,
Then
then
All
Sandra was the second. Laura, Sandra, unanimous.
No, no, I'm just doing unanimous.
Okay, and we have a mini grant.
This.
for
Yes, looks
the
fun.
Mo- No, the Plant the Moon.
Yes, so Rachel is going to plant plants on the moon with the kids. She's asking for approval to apply for a grant in the total amount of $405, and this would be specifically for our second grade students. And they are planning on studying plants as part of their science curriculum, obviously, but we would be looking to be partnered with a VOAG program that would be in our town, which I'm sure you can gather what VOAG program is in our town. Our second grade students would visit this VOAG program's greenhouse that they have and learn about how vegetable crops are grown from the high school students. And then they would grow their crops in the lunar or Martian soil in the greenhouse that's provided through the grant. So we may be having extraterrestrial plants that will be in Winstead here coming soon. If you will approve Rachel applying for this grant, please.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Nora, Doug,
Yeah. All in favor? I think Matt Damon went with
Are you in
potatoes,
favor?
right?
Can I ask a question?
With an E or an
Is
O
this
at the end?
hosted at the VOAG program, or is it gonna be here?
It's going to be through us, like we would be the owner of the program. We would partner with the VOAG program to be able to do this together, because I think it's always, Rachel and I have done these projects before in the past when we've had high school kids working with elementary students, and it's just amazing to be able to have them interact together. So, we want to make it a partnership to be able to do this experience for the second grade.
Will it be held at the greenhouse? Or, oh, okay.
The kids will be going to our little ones would be going to the greenhouse to be able to participate up there, and then we would leave the Martian soil at the greenhouse so that the plants can grow appropriately in the greenhouse.
And so is the 405 used for transportation? Is that what the cost is? or-
There's some purchasing of the Martian soil, the seeds,
Very
the
expensive,
stuff,
lunar and Martian soil.
and then
Come by.
we would be doing some transportation funds on our end
Oh,
to
that's
be
what I
able,
was
so separate from this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you.
So,
Yeah, that's nice to get the older and youngers
absolutely.
together, for sure.
I lost track. Did we approve that already?
We did.
Sorry.
Barb, did you get the approval?
And now, we have, count them, 15 policies
Oh, my
to look at.
Well, the bulk of them are first reads, and someone who's sitting next to me was
So the first one is 4218.232. This is the purposes of, substance use, drug-free workplace act, and specifically really references that you cannot be under the influence of marijuana or any other intoxicating substance while, on school ground. This is a first read. What is your question, Kristen?
Page 45, or the second page of this one. Certain benefits for alcoholism or drugs. I'm not sure what benefits those are.
Well, they're talking employee assistance.
Yeah, that's under employee assistance
Insurance
programs
benefits.
on the previous
Benefits
page.
for that.
So we,
Insurance
as,
benefits.
as an organization, if we become aware that an employee is suffering from addiction, we have an obligation through our employee assistance program to be able to assist in that resolution.
Find in the next sentence.
Well, it says alcoholism, or
Right.
if I thought drug use or addiction, maybe that word would be more appropriate to add into. Certain benefits for alcoholism and drug addiction are encouraged. Certain benefits, maybe that
Certain
issue's right.
benefits for alcoholism or drugs are encouraged.
It is an awkward.
Drug addiction.
Isn't
you're
this
saying?
what the,
This is our attorney's version.
right, but I think they must have missed a word there because
For
certain
addressing
benefits for alcoholism and drugs is.
Yeah. Or drug rehabilitation, or drug treatment, or drug.
I'm gonna put for addressing.
Or dressing.
There you go.
Got it.
Perfect.
Okay, with change.
Dressing.
For addressing.
That was a good catch. That would have been.
Wait, no,
Or
so
just-
you're saying certain,
Yeah.
so what are you saying, certain benefits?
For addressing.
Certain benefits for addressing alcoholism or drug use. Addiction are encouraged to seek assistance. That does not make sense, that sentence, no matter what you look at it.
Certain benefits to address.
It says certain benefits for addressing alcoholism or drug addiction are provided under the board's group medical
That's the
insurance
next
plan.
That's the next sentence, I think,
Certain benefits for alcohol and drugs.
I think
that first
get
line.
rid of that.
Maybe you should just take
Yeah,
that
let's
out.
just take that out.
Meant to say something else.
Yeah, I know, because it already says in the other one, are encouraged to seek
Looks like
assistance.
they amended that second
Maybe it
sentence.
doubled it.
Yeah.
It's a hybrid
I think they
sentence.
should
Yeah.
eliminate that first.
Yeah.
Got it.
Hybrid sentence.
Any other questions on this one?
No, it was needing to know that an
I make a
official
motion to
language.
move, I make a,
Your second read?
Not this one.
Okay.
I make a motion to
That
move,
person's needing to know, who needs to know, you don't.
Okay, a motion to move to second read from Nora, is there a second?
with the change.
Okay, from Cheryl, all in favor? Great.
Unanimous? Cheryl, you're included in that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I raised my hand. Okay, policy 1120, this is a new proposed public comment policy.
This is under regulations. This would be
Right.
attached to our current public comment policy as a regulation.
So this is, instead of you reading that page, this, and it also is clearer as far as what we can and cannot do as far as, someone can come in and talk on anything, basically what's on.
Right, it's a little
We
more.
do still ask them
We
to
actually,
be
we do have the
appropriate.
right to control what is done during the meeting,
Yes, we do.
so.
But we're allowing people, so 3 minutes, and, I still think that we should continue to reference, as we do on our agenda, that, people shouldn't be disparaged. But this is the actual statement that Doug will have to read 3 times.
So it doesn't have to be matters pertaining to the agenda?
No.
And that was the complaint, right? That
Yes.
was the old-
This
And the old
directly
one, too.
aligns with what is allowable through FOIA
Right.
I would move to,
and Robert's.
move that to second read.
Okay, second. All right, all in favor?
I'm just gonna abstain.
So that's one abstention, that's favor. There was no opposition, right? No. Okay. So the next.
Wait, one abstention.
One abstention.
So it was what, 1, 2,
Kristen
3,
abstained.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
0, 1.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so 5141.213, this has to do with the Emergency Administration of Knoxville, we discussed this at great length at the policy meeting. Kristen, what's your questions?
Non-consciousness is a garbage word. It's really not a medical word. It's It is a synonym, but it's really used in psychology, and it's not so much used in the medical field.
What paragraph are you on?
Unconscious.
She's looking at the, under
Drug
definition of
overdose.
drug overdose. So,
It's actually more,
Unresponsive?
that's actually having more
Unconscious?
to do with the
Non-conscious.
conscious
Oh.
state of making decisions versus unconsciousness, which is non-responsiveness, which is what you're actually meaning to say.
so you don't think it's, I mean, you can be overdosing and be unable to make decisions,
You could.
but you also be unconscious.
I think the word that you're looking for is unconsciousness.
Okay. Anyone have any opposition to changing that language to unconsciousness?
So what, can you read the sentence fully?
It
Or-
says drug overdose means an acute medical condition, including but not limited to severe physical illness, coma, mania, hysteria, or death, which is a result of consumption or use of one or more controlled substances causing an adverse reaction. The signs of opioid overdose include unresponsiveness, unconsciousness, shallow breathing with a rate less than 10 breaths per minute, or not breathing at all. Blue or gray phase. Do you mean to read? Continue reading it?
No.
Okay.
Is non-consciousness even a word?
It is, but it's used in psychology.
Okay.
It's more about conscious decisions versus level of consciousness.
Interesting.
Two different kind of things that are similar.
I move it to second read with the change unconsciousness.
Oh, she has another question.
an extra
Another,
comma
there's
there.
an extra
Okay.
comma somewhere.
Naloxone, Narcan means medication, that sentence. Naloxone displaces opiates from receptor sites in the brain and reverses respiratory depression that,
Usually,
comma,
yeah.
usually is the cause of overdose.
Don't need
So
the
it's
comma there.
excessive
Comma after
comma.
that.
Delete the
Yes.
comma.
Yep,
Anything
that's it.
else?
That's it on that one.
All right, I move
missed
to
one.
make the motion to move 5141.213 with those two changes,
Oh, here,
Okay.
unconsciousness and no
there's more pages.
comma.
She found more. Sorry, hold on.
What paragraph,
What
what
are we
page?
looking at?
Okay,
Page
training,
49.
49.
The
The
regulations.
regulation.
We need to, all right, so under training, second line from the end, rescue breathing, comma, administering naloxone, because they're two separate acts.
Say that again, your location?
Under training.
Yep.
That for a paragraph under was captioned training.
That
So we
paragraph?
cover, which one are you talking about?
After rescue
Breathing,
breathing.
comma, administering Noxagon.
Where's
The
that?
next to last sentence, it starts,
So
rescue
at the end of the
breathing,
paragraph.
comma,
Rescue
administering.
breathing, comma, administering naloxone.
Comma after breathing.
Okay.
Any others?
I swear that's it.
You want the
Where?
Oxford comma in there to be consistent?
No, because that's not one thing.
Okay, so I
You're not
move,
rescue breathing,
No,
administering.
no, it's the end,
So,
at the end.
guys-
No,
Laura's trying to
reposition,
move this
comma.
along.
I
Come on,
move,
let's go.
I
Hold
move
on.
51,
No, no, can we go back to non-consciousness?
yes.
I think they're defining non-consciousness differently than what maybe psychology does. Google says that it is not conscious. Then it also says lacking awareness and the capacity for sensory perception as if asleep or dead. So
That's non-conscious, not non-consciousness. It makes a difference, but okay, if you
I'm
insist,
just
then-
wondering, I don't know.
Can we ask the attorney?
It's our medical provider that feeds into this, so I can talk to our medical provider and ask her
I
opinion
would
on the
ask them.
language.
Okay. So with that caveat, we still have a motion to move it to second read.
Does that make it fix it?
With the review of our medical.
Right.
Okay, so I make a motion to move 5141.213 with the review of non-consciousness, elimination of the comma after the word that, and the inclusion of a comma after the word breathing.
In the training. Yes.
Okay, fourth time's a charm.
All right,
Let's try it.
All in favor?
to second read? Yes.
Okay.
All right. Now, this is the policy that will never go away. This is 4118.11. This is, we did this policy in March, and we had to change, there was more to add to it. So,
Echoes it.
any questions?
Well, we were gonna,
It was, how come I'm not seeing, the addition, wasn't this the one that where the addition was, domestic violence? Why am I not seeing this in here? Victim of domestic violence.
Which one are you on?
You're on
4118.
51, right?
Yeah.
Page 51, yeah.
This is-
Non-discrimination. Non-discrimination?
Yeah, it's like it keeps coming up, we have to update it, but it's just, I'm wondering what the actual update was.
The update was,
The last paragraph, the district recognizes, that's the ad that there was, the last paragraph.
Oh, okay.
you sure that was the?
I'm almost positive
We
that
had
was
to
it.
include Seamus's name.
We
It was
did add
blank.
Seamus's name in there.
That was
Right,
blank.
but we had, I'm not seeing. Let's look at this again. Just double checking. There was a thing about, wasn't there, I thought we, this was addition because we had to add now a new classification of a class.
Domestic
Protected
violence.
against domestic violence, and I don't, that's what this was, change was supposed to be.
Yeah, because there's addendums about sexual harassment.
No, sexual,
No, you're
not
right,
sexual,
Cheryl.
it was domestic violence. This is not the updated policy.
All right, we'll have to go back and,
Well, wait.
So I make a
Sexual
motion
abuse
to
and
table
assault?
this?
No.
Do we table this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why don't we put it on for, let's move it to the next board meeting to have the correct policy in front of the board for the first read.
So it stays in first read.
Stays in first read, but we need the correct version to
I
be
got it.
brought in. Sorry, I
no, thank
I
you.
went through all this and I missed it. All right. Okay.
All right, so
And it was domestic violence?
do we need
That
to
was
make a motion for that?
Just tabled it for till the next meeting.
Would you second that? Oh, table doesn't need a
Yeah,
motion.
I don't think
All right,
we
we're
need a
tabling.
All right. Next
Non-discrimination.
policy, still, first read is 6144.1, substance abuse education. We had discussions about this. And clearly, there's things that we discussed, but it'd be age appropriate based on the students' grade level. What questions do you have? I mean,
You don't get infected with AIDS, you get infected with HIV.
that is very true.
Where are you at?
So, under HIV/AIDS instructed, there should be the first sentence where it says, for those infected with AIDS, you get infected with HIV and you develop AIDS. So that's kind of, so that should be changed.
Same in the second sentence. third
No,
sentence.
that's the spread of AIDS.
You can't
is the-
spread AIDS, you spread HIV.
Oh. You sure? I thought that was a development, okay.
It's an acquired immune deficiency syndrome.
That's true.
Which is a late stage of HIV. You can't
Mhm.
pass the last stage of HIV without passing the first stage of HIV.
All right. So do you think, so the first two references to AIDS should be HIV, but should the second sentence, where it's the third reference to AIDS, reference both HIV and AIDS?
You can slash
I would
it.
do both.
Yes,
I would
slash
do
it.
both
I
there,
would do both.
yeah.
Yep.
All right,
And also into the next paragraph as well. Exempted from instruction on, I would do the slash.
HIV/AIDS,
Yeah.
yeah.
As it's defined underneath.
Mhm.
It's, you know, might as well just keep that.
That sounds,
That's funny, because in the
Continuity.
next paragraph it is.
it is, yeah.
HIV/AIDS.
Anything else you've noticed?
They just don't have Kristen on their staff.
I know. We have another comma that's not belongs in there.
The section of animals, second paragraph, any students excused from participating in or observing the dissection of animals, it doesn't need a comma. Otherwise, it's sectioning out the sentence and it's not.
Do you have a space for an English teaching program?
No, I would be one of those.
She's
you
an
know,
editor.
TAs that just grade
You
it.
just have a big red pen, huh?
On that one, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion on this one? No questions?
Barb, you get all the changes, or, well,
No, I'm gonna have somebody.
I have them all.
Melanie's got them then.
All right.
I have them.
All right, I make a motion to move 6144.1 to second read with those changes. Do I have a second?
Second.
That would be Cheryl, second. All in favor? Unanimous to move to second read?
All right, so the next policy we have is 7230.2, indoor air quality. this is a mandatory policy. Pretty non-controversial, I would think, but you never know.
Did we make any adjustments to the recommended one?
No?
No. Any questions?
What's the P mean? P means policy? R is regulation,
P is policy, R is regulation.
So-
All right, do I have a motion to move it to a second reading? Second?
Second?
Second,
All in
Kristen,
favor? Okay.
unanimous, Doug and Kristen.
Flag display, this is, we discussed, we wanted to make it very minimalistic and to avoid any drama. The only flags that will be flown are the US and state flag, was there another flag, wasn't that?
I thought we were adding other flags. I thought we had three.
I think we had MIA and.
Yeah, we added.
POW, MIA,
POW.
and then
Yeah.
No, we
Connecticut flag?
decided to
Yeah.
just stick with this one here.
This is
That was
just
it?
a
We had that
minimum.
discussion. This is just the Connecticut
Yeah, I
flag
think it was in there.
and the
Yeah,
United
policy.
flag of the United States.
This was like the last thing we talked about. Everyone was just going, so I don't really remember. We were.
Yeah,
This
no,
is
we just want to
This is
minimize
just
this.
the flag, this is
United
just
States
the
flag.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question about, does it refer to, it says there shall be a flag on display in every classroom of every school.
Thank you.
Oh.
I think classroom room is a little redundant.
Well, no, but what kind of flag? We're not being
Is it
specific.
capitalized?
The only flag that's being authorized, but this is the flag of the
Is it?
United
Yeah.
States.
To be flown outside of the school, but then it
Right,
says
but
there
this-
shall be a flag on display in every classroom of every school, which is fine, but I'm wondering, it's not specifically saying a US flag.
If we were to capitalize it, it would stand in for the
Flag.
United States flag, right?
Oh, really?
Would that make so perhaps we can just capitalize
It should
it?
be,
Because that's how we're treating it throughout the rest.
The
We're just-
flag.
We have flag, yeah.
shall
we
be the
capitalized.
flag on.
There shall be, no.
the-
I would just reiterate, you said
Shall
United
be.
States flag before that?
Just say,
Same thing, there
just
shall
say
be,
United States flag.
yeah, just say
And
the
then-
same thing as the other one.
Is there any policy that talks about any other flags, or is it just specifically?
No, this is the flag display policy, period.
So no other flags will come into?
Right.
Doesn't say, does it say you can't?
We're trying to keep it simple.
No, this would prevent any other flags from flying.
This was to be
Okay.
flying on our flagpole. That doesn't mean they can't be showing flags of different countries, as part of an educational
We don't-
program. Well,
Which
I
we
mean,
do.
it's social studies, sometimes you have
Yeah.
other different flags.
You do.
That's, what we're doing is displaying the flag in a particular manner. So we're not gonna, so this is, we don't get requests for this organization or that organization to sponsor them by letting them hang their flag under our, US
Or
flag.
teachers bringing in
Right.
flags of their own purview?
Well, this has to do with, there's a particular flag that's being displayed.
On our pole.
On our pole.
Right.
This is a
That
flag
doesn't
pole.
mean the teachers can't, as part of their curriculum.
Right, but that's my
things.
question then, there shall be a flag on display in every classroom of every
Yeah, we just
school.
need to
Does it
change
prevent any type of, right, by putting a capital F, but
Right,
does it
but-
prevent any other flags?
So that's what we're saying, there
Correct.
shall be the United States flag on display in every classroom
and
of
I
every
underst-
school. And
Right,
get
and
rid
I
of the second
understand.
room word in there, that's not correct.
Right, I understand that, but does this also cover if a teacher wants to fly a particular flag and put it in their classroom? Does this cover it, that no, sorry, there is only the United States flag that is allowed in the classroom?
No.
This does not cover that.
That was my question.
Yep, no.
So is there a policy then that covers that, or is it just standing that,
We have no policy on such.
okay, do we need to have a policy on such, or
It's the
are
board's
teachers allowed
prerogative.
to put
If you'd like to
whatever they
introduce a
deem-
policy, you can introduce one at the policy committee, and we can consider it.
Okay, so we could add it to this policy, so we don't have to have a separate policy?
You
or
need a
would you
separate
recommend
policy.
You would need a
A
separate
separate
policy.
Separate policy.
You'd probably have
Okay.
to craft your own.
We
So I would
should
have
say
that.
though, in the last sentence of that first paragraph, we should either change that to United States flag or just capitalize.
Well, yeah, I think I
Right.
said
Word
that the
flag,
change
you're
will be,
right.
the
United
last
States.
sentence of the first paragraph, there shall be a United States flag, capital flag, on display in every classroom, get rid of the second room in there of every school.
Right.
And then I would also suggest that the last sentence, flag, is capitalized as well, because it's not
Yeah.
capitalized. In the very last sentence, of the second paragraph.
I just say it for the benefit of Barbara,
Right.
because I feel like there's.
Yeah, we're like
It's
speeding
probably
past
pretty
through
confusing.
Barbara.
I got it.
You got it?
I've
All
got it.
right. Do we have a motion on this policy?
I make a motion to move 6115.3 to second read.
Second?
That's Jeanette, second. All in favor? Unanimous?
All right, so now we have policy number 5141.3. This has to do with health assessments and immunizations. Kristen, any issues?
I'm assuming this is how it was sent over?
This is how it was sent over. This is a mandatory policy. Any?
Isn't this? Oh, did he get kicked back last year? Okay. Okay, I'm like, this sounds really familiar, like we just did
We had,
this.
no, that was a different immunization policy.
Oh, okay, okay.
All right.
All right, so which language are we using here for 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph?
She did have something. All right, so the Board of Education shall annually designate representatives to receive reports of health assessments and immunizations from healthcare providers, or the superintendent shall designate the school nurse. I think we had talked about having the superintendent designate the school nurse.
Yes.
So.
So I'm gonna take
so
out the sentence.
The first sentence goes
Yes.
out, and then that will read, the superintendent
Good
shall
catch.
designate the school nurse to receive reports of health assessments and immunizations from healthcare providers. Fourth paragraph. So the
Taking out
first
that
sentence,
last.
yeah, what's in the parens will be what will be the
Stands,
sentence.
right.
Oh, stand,
Wait,
okay?
what-
Without the
sorry, what's in
parens.
the parentheses will stand?
Yes,
will stand,
the-
yeah.
the superintendent shall designate the school
Oh.
nurse to receive reports of health
Okay,
assessments and
we're keeping that.
immunizations.
And get rid
Just
of the
the
Board of
first
Education.
sentence is gone.
First, okay, I didn't do the right, sorry, my bad.
Alright,
We'll keep the second line.
okay.
Well, I just want to comment. I mean, I know that Tori and I have been voting no on this, and I realize it's a mandated law. But, oh, I'm on page 64. But this is one of the reasons. I mean, there's two reasons. One of the reasons, though, is that children are required from the age of 2 to almost 5 to receive a yearly flu vaccine, and then they don't have to. And I'm wondering, you know, again,
Well, they don't usually eat each other's snots after age 5. I'm gonna guess that's
maybe you haven't
probably-
taught kindergarten, first and second grade.
Yeah, first and second grade can be a little easy, but I'm gonna guess that's probably the thinking behind.
But
What
actually,
line
they
is
kind
she
of
talking
do.
about? What line are you
I'm
talking
I'm
about?
talking about,
We're also potty trained.
I
and
see.
I
Where
understand,
is it?
but I'm just saying. And then the other thing too is, you know, just the fact that parents don't have a parental choice anymore. And
I remember fighting
that's
that
not
with
right
the
either.
chicken pox when my son is now 21 and fighting that back then because they were going to throw him out of daycare. And I'm like, I do not want, I wanted him to have the opportunity to catch it naturally. Or by kindergarten, I do it, but it was
Right.
it was that or I didn't work. It was, it's like,
Well, and I think
that
a
was a
lot,
tough spot to.
right, and there's gonna be, and there are a lot of parents in that tough spot, like you said. But again, just the science of giving a flu shot to little itty bitties, and I get it, they're gross. But they're also gross at K1, 2, and 3, you know, they're
21, yeah.
white. So it just, it doesn't make sense, and that's one of the reasons that it just kind of crossed
Yeah.
my tube.
Also, paragraph 8 though is the paragraph that takes away religious exemption after if you're not in the grandfather date.
Well, actually,
Correct.
the policy doesn't take away that. The
No,
legislature
state does.
The law
passed a
does,
law.
correct.
On
that-
our
No, and
level
I know,
it does,
I know,
so.
there's nothing we can do about it, but it just, again, it crossed my tube.
All right,
not
so do we have a motion on this policy?
I make a motion to move this policy to second read.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, so Kristen second, all in favor? Okay, and opposed?
Are you voting, Cheryl?
Yes, sorry, all in favor.
Wait a minute, so
Opposed, so
voting,
7-0.
so let's do that math again. Voting in favor?
Favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Opposed is 2. So 7-0, 0 is abstentions. Abstentions.
7, 2. It moves.
So now the last thing is policy 9000 series, Article 2, Section 4, parens G. This is our proposed revision of the bylaws, our bylaws relative to the Gilbert School Corporation and how we place members on that term and the term. Mel and I worked on this last week. We ridiculous length of time. To make it clearer, anyone have any questions, concerns? Nora?
Page 69, 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph, the elections by the full board representatives of Gilbert School Corporation will be held as vacancies occur. Is it and/or after town elections?
Yeah, it's and.
Not or?
No, because we have to do it after town elections, and then we have to do it when a vacancy concerns, so it's and.
And, okay.
Was it in here also too that people would be, and we would vote on it rather than just being appointed?
Well, that's the elections by the full boards, the paragraph
that's
you
what-
just read.
Right. It didn't seem that clear. Elections by the full Winchester Board.
Yeah, but the and only applies if there's a turnover of a Gilbert School representative from the board, correct?
No, look at terms of service.
No, so, looks at the terms of service shows how long your term is. So if you're a Board of Ed member that's been appointed, you serve for those 2 years, or the balance of your term, whichever is shorter. So if you came on.
Subject to renomination law. I was like, man, that's it, that's all I gotta do.
And the non-Winchester board member, we did do it for 1 year, and the reason we decided that is that if, it's our position, we talked about that if there's a board member that decides they want to participate, then they should have first right of refusal, so to speak, because we are the elected representatives to the town, and that would be the more appropriate way. So we've talked through that. So that's why we'd have it as separate terms. That doesn't mean we won't go to, any of our town representatives, who are sitting there and say, can you continue serving? We'd like to put you up for another year. But we want to make sure that the board members have dibs, so to speak.
So our terms are 4 years?
Yes.
Okay, and the reason we have long terms is because there is a learning curve, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if we have people that are appointed from the town who are volunteering their time, just as we are volunteering our time, and they are there for 1 year, and then they are told they are no longer wanted.
No, they're told that
That's
they
the
have to
learning curve
reapply.
again.
Yeah.
It's not like a given that they're not gonna be renominated. It's
Right.
just that they have to go through that
They
process.
expressed an
Right,
interest. Yeah.
It's following the same process that the town commissions follow, that you see it in their board packets on a monthly basis. People saying that I would like to reinitiate my appointment to, whatever commission they're on. So it's just basically a re-acknowledgement of your continued interest, if you will.
So like the zoning board of appeals has a 1 year and then they reapply?
I don't know if it's 1 year, but whatever term that particular board has set forward, then they have to put forth just a letter that says, I'd like to be considered for reappointment, continued service, blah, 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 and then the Board of Selectmen vote on it.
All right, so let's flip side this. If citizens decide they want to volunteer for the Gilbert Board, and they know it's only for 1 year, in other words, they don't feel that it could be more, but it's a minimum for 1 year. And they don't, they feel, how can I explain this? Anybody else could be up to 4 years, but because I'm not on the Board of Ed, I'm technically, at 1 year, I'm up for reconsideration.
Actually, it's only 2 years, and so it's whatever shorter.
Right,
Balance is only
right.
2 years.
But
shorter.
I'm just saying, it would make that citizen feel less than a Board of Ed member.
But I think, again, the priority always has to be for Board of Ed
It should
members.
be.
Because
Because
we're
we're
It should be,
elected
and
representatives.
I fully agree, it should be the priority. However, as we've seen, there's plenty of people who are not Board of Ed members who have been very successful.
And there's no promise if you put someone in a position, put on that they're gonna stay.
Oh, no, I agree.
That they're gonna wanna stay, or
And,
that they're gonna
what if
perform
they,
appropriately.
what if they do want to stay, they're happy in that position, they're successful in that position,
let us-
but because a board member wants that position over them, they are taken out of that opportunity to continue success.
Right, because we as members, elected members of the Board of Education, have the obligation to try to do what we can. Now, we've had a situation with Gilbert, with this particular committee, it's that we don't have enough people who are able, because of schedules or other issues, to participate in the Gilbert board, or because they burnt out, because there's a lot, there's a lot on us, just as Board of Ed members doing this stuff. And then you add the responsibilities to be on another board completely. So, but we still want to make it so that Board of Ed members have a priority. But, we now have 2 non-board members as our representatives on that board. It's not unlikely that that's gonna continue at this point, depending on how we turn over everything. So,
I see what you're saying, Kristen, but I also think it leaves room for conversation. So if someone who is not a non-board member does submit, and I know you already know this,
Well, why can't
was
a
to submit
citizen just
a
serve
letter of
at
interest.
at the, what do they say, the
Request.
request of the board or
Well, then-
convenience of the board or
But I think the
whatever.
But I
law,
think it opens-
the law says 3 to 1.
Says what?
I know it's 4 members from the community. But I think also if we dig into the law, I thought it was 3 coming from the Board of Ed.
no, it's actually, if you look at, the Gilbert bylaws, they provide that it's Board of Ed members or a representative. So we get to decide whether we're gonna send a citizen versus a Board of Ed member, okay? But the law does talk about it being, 4 members of the town. It doesn't specify Board of Ed.
Okay.
But that's how it's involved because it made sense.
But I think if they submitted a letter of interest that they wanted to continue on, and I think, in theory, I think I understand what you're saying, but I think in reality, it would, if that person's name was again in front of the board, and a board member really felt compelled, knowing that there was a letter of interest already submitted, I think it would at least opens it up for conversation. So that board member would have to be incredibly interested to bounce out a successful member, you know what I mean? I think it starts a conversation around it. I don't think it's an automatic, but then everyone knows what's in front of them, that there's a very interested board member, so interested that they're going to take the place of an interested and experienced citizen. You know what I mean?
Keep in mind that
That's just
this position that we serve here is that we're also custodians of a budget for the town taxpayer, and that your role serving on the Gilbert School Corp kind of extends that responsibility because Gilbert sends us a bill. So I think that's very important to put in the purview and the control of a Board of Ed member here, the Winchester Board member.
That's a good point.
Any other further discussion? Do I have a motion to move it?
I move that to go to second, well, actually, is it a bylaw? Do we have to go through the same process?
Actually, we don't have to go to second read on the bylaw. So we can entertain a motion to amend our bylaw as,
I would make that motion, to amend the bylaw as presented.
Sandra second, all in favor?
And that goes straight
All
to
opposed?
implementation, correct?
Abstention? Abstention. 1 abstention. Okay, so now we're on to second reads. First second read is 3171.1, which is our non-lapsing fund. We discussed this at the last board meeting, about how this basically codifies what we do so that there's clarity.
The only difference is the establishment of a regulation, that was it.
Right. Any comment, discussion, questions regarding this? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. So moved.
Okay, Doug, do I have a second?
Second, Renee.
Renee, all in favor?
Unanimous?
Unanimous?
There you go.
Okay, and this comes, we have the regulation, which is the memorandum of agreement. So this is something that would then be sent to the town as needed, right? All right, so now we have policy 6141, curriculum, and this is a mandated policy. 6140, sorry, I can't even speak. I caught what Mel had. We discussed this also at length at both the policy and the board meeting. Anyone have any further questions, concerns, comments? Do I have a motion?
I still think that first line is really awkward.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
It's not a sentence.
No, the enrolled in
that is
Winchester
true.
Public, no, it doesn't have high school. It
true,
should be
it's
a
not a
That is
colon.
not a sentence,
It
you're
should
exactly
be a
right.
colon. It should be a colon.
Colon, we can make that.
Students
Comma
that
or
are
colon?
enrolled in this
Comma?
school or that school.
Colon.
Okay.
What do you do with students that are enrolled? It's, there's no action, there's no
I
word.
know, you're right,
What's
you're
the-
right.
What's the word?
Well, the enrolled
Let
is
me
not-
break it down for
enrolled
you,
is
a
ro-
line
is
and
enrolled a
across.
verb? All right, so with the colon, substituting the
Is
period.
that supposed to be array, or what is that supposed to be?
A colon, it's kind of like array.
What?
It's a colon, and then goes in accordance with state statutes. Do you want to do it a comma, and then a single? I'm too tired to do grammar.
Students that are enrolled in Winchester,
What, sentence 1 and 2?
in accordance with state statute.
How about regarding students that are, what make,
Students that are
What about in accordance with state statutes, students that are enrolled in Winchester Public Schools and or the Winchester?
There you go.
There we
There you go.
Designated high school
Renee has
records
it.
courses?
Thank you.
Right in there.
right in there.
All right.
We have that?
Melanie, you have that?
Got it.
All right.
Do we
so-
have a motion on this policy as amended?
Oh my God, it should be in
But then you have
accordance
to
with
get rid
state
of, like,
statutes,
the-
prescribed course of study shall include at least the following subject matter for students that are enrolled in
Right.
the blah, 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 blah. The
I
sentences
promise
are
I will
reversed.
make it a nice sentence.
She promises.
I promise.
I make a motion to approve, provided Melanie
promise.
Melanie makes a nice sentence. With the Melanie's nice sentence.
I think Kristen should write a letter to Cabe about their grammar issues.
All right,
Believe me, I've
6140.
already offered Mel and Darlene and everybody else, I'm like,
We have a second on that?
Second motion, approved.
Kristen,
All in favor?
with the Melanie nice sentence?
Only with
Unanimous?
Melanie.
Unanimous?
I promise we'll be out of here by 9.
I'm working on it. All right. So next policy is 41121. This is appointment personnel certified, non-certified. Basically sets the criteria and restrictions regarding hiring, right? We discussed this. Anyone have any further comment, questions? Do I have a motion to approve this policy?
So moved.
Second, Sandra, all in favor?
Unanimous?
Doug, unanimous?
Yes, yes,
All
yes.
right,
Put me yes for everything until we go.
yeah, okay, 4218.11, this is the active protective hairstyles, I thought we dealt with this before.
I thought it was
we just
I
saw
think it
that.
fell under,
It also was covered in that first one as a discrimination, but this is particular policy to hairstyles.
Right, okay, so do we have any, I think what this did is it clarified some of there were some definition changes, corrections.
That's where
Any,
we saw that.
any questions, comments, discussion? Do I have a motion
I make a motion to move to
to approve?
approve.
Second by Jeanette, all in favor?
Wait a minute. Yep,
Doug's
unanimous.
in favor, so that's unanimous. This comes with the regulation, the appendix, the complaint. All right.
Last one.
Gift of library materials, policy 6163.11. We went with the basic on this one, if I remember correctly.
Make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Any further discussion, questions? All right. All in favor?
All right.
Sandra, okay, unanimous. All right, so now the last one is policy 5145, behavior on buses. This is, we very much modified this one at the policy committee and then discussed it at the last board meeting, the reasons for the changes. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes,
I
Tim.
do. On section B, administrators should have a parenthesis.
Yep.
An apostrophe.
Possessive,
Administrators.
possessive,
Yes.
Does that go after the S or between the S?
before the S.
I thought
Before
the
the S.
behavior slip
Before-
only
if
went
there's
to the
more
bus
than-
company.
If there's just the
No,
one.
that's changed.
Then it's after.
Otherwise, we don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought there was something weird about the change.
Anyone, any other changes, corrections, comments? Do I have a
Motion,
motion?
I make a motion to approve.
With that amendment, with that correction?
Doug seconds.
Second, all in favor? Unanimous?
Unanimous.
And that concludes policies.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, people.
Okay, public comment.
Any public comment? Public comment, public comment?
Nora,
Move to adjourn?
Motion to
can I
adjourn.
ask real quick, because this was in the meeting that I missed this last time?
Do you wanna adjourn,
There was
Jet?
something about, social studies, like,
Oh, yeah,
side
I
group
got some
that's coming
questions.
up, but did not say it's midday.
Yes.
Yes.
Are you?
What's the
during the
progress
workday.
on that one?
So I'm working on getting some dates with our
right.
staff. It has to be done during the teacher workday.
Hey, you guys, there's also a walkthrough November 30th, don't forget, 8:45 in the morning. And so motion to adjourn?
I did that already.
All right.
You already did.
Sorry, then I got held
I
up by
talked,
the
I'm
question. So Cheryl and then
All in
Kristen,
favor?
Yay.
Tori, unanimous.
Oh,
Cheryl, Tori.
it's my
Motion
deck.
to adjourn
Yes!
at 8:49.
Look! Yes, my deck is covered in snow.
Good.
Tara, my deck is covered in snow.
Wow.
I'm not getting a snow day tomorrow, sorry.
I have to tell you, we got the calls from
I like sitting next to you.
I know, I'm sorry.
You know what, Claire was like, oh, this is it.
Inside baseball.
That would probably be a delay, I would say, because we have to partner with Region 7, because the kids that drive and like the buses are so early on that end.
I mean, there's no order, but it was just like.
Judy and I. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was